Welcome to Culture on Tap. We are a podcast that's about bridging the cultural gap one conversation at a time. We have today myself, Dale Young, my name literally escaped me. My wife, Michelle Young, behind the other camera. I keep usually at the other studio we have behind the camera. I guess they're behind the camera, but the camera can't pop it down. Range and Jessica Armitage, Range Joseph and Jessica Lynn. And we said this at the Monday. Xavier had an injury. He's going to be off for the next few weeks. He's had some stuff going on with his family, so we're praying for him. He will be back. He has not been booted from the show. He still gets his cut of the profits, which is all of nothing. So we can't wait for him to get back, but we are going to, the next 5 weeks, have our wives on with us as we do this, and I'm sure once he gets back, we can have Lauren on with him. But if you haven't already, please subscribe and share on any way you listen or watch the podcast. Make sure to hit the bell to get the notifications when we have new contact, and make sure you tap in with us so we are a resource that helps you with challenging you and equipping you in every way. That did not go as well as Xavier does it, but hey, it's there. So let's jump right back in with fun facts with Range. So this is the ladies.
You didn't get a cool in time with you echo like X does.
No, I didn't. It's just me. I cannot stress to people enough how fun facts just organically show up in our life. So this past week, this is a new one, and the wives can vouch for this because they were in the room when this went down. I am reading a book on Bob Iger, which is the CEO of Disney right now. He wrote a book the first time he retired, and in the process of that, I made the statement, I did not know how good of friends Bob Iger was with Steve Jobs, which Range proceeded to tell me that Range.
I don't remember my exact wording, but it was something along the lines of, who's Steve Jobs? Or
yeah.
No. What is he the CEO of?
Yes. What is he the CEO of? Yes. What is he a CEO? Which, it's my, I don't know how you don't know who Steve Jobs is. Is that a fair statement?
I mean, he was kind of a big deal and very influential.
Well, he passed away very suddenly from cancer because he kind of kept his cancer hidden. He is in the forefront when it comes to computers, technology. I mean, literally everything can be ran by Apple.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
And Range's whole life.
Everything I have is ran by Apple.
Yeah.
And you didn't know.
I mean, I didn't buy it from him.
Like the actual salesperson?
He didn't come knock on the door and say, hey.
So let me ask this, and there's no chance. Maybe you know what he looks like. What is Steve Jobs' trademark outfit?
Oh, I don't have a clue.
Do you know?
I mean, you could show me a picture of it.
I mean, I know exactly what he looks like, but I didn't know he had a trademark.
It's a black turtleneck.
Jess even.
Thank you.
He's known for wearing black turtlenecks. Because nobody wears black turtlenecks anymore. He would come on stage with blue jeans and a black turtleneck and his glasses and little loafers.
See, I feel like y'all sound like stalkers. And I sound like the normal person.
Well, it's because he goes on TV to announce the new great invention that he is creating.
The new iPhone or the new iPad or
who does that now?
I bet you didn't know when all the new iPhone stuff comes out. Like what time of year it comes out.
Whenever they release it.
Like every September.
Yeah.
Is when the newest anything Apple product comes out.
To answer your question, they don't do it the same. But I mean, they really haven't. They have a new one, but what I mean is when he came out with the iPod, and then when he came out with the iPhone and the Mac Pro, or Apple TV.
Like a new product.
Like a new product that no one's ever seen before. Means nothing to you.
No, I just figured they released them out into the world.
No hoopla.
Nothing.
No marketing. No phenomenal.
Well, apparently they weren't very good at their marketing.
Wow.
I'm going to say that the Apple stocks would disagree.
Yeah, people that have Apple stock would disagree with you. Little fun fact. Steve Jobs is also he doesn't not anymore because Disney owned it, but he owned Pixar.
Hey, you told me that.
Yeah.
Whenever
You didn't know that
we
either.
discovered all this. I did not.
So,
Cool.
So
yeah,
there-
Disney weaves into everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Range now knows that Steve Jobs created and was CEO twice of Apple. He was.
Did you get fired?
He did. He was CEO, fired as CEO, left, started Pixar, came back as CEO.
Oh.
Because Apple kind of didn't tank, but it plummeted.
Realized they made a mistake.
Yes. He is the brains.
Did not know that.
Well, was.
Well,
There you go.
yeah,
Fun
it
fact.
was. I'll give you anything you want in life
Oh wow, that's a lot.
He's pretty confident.
if you can tell me who, like for Disney, Walt's the brain, but E.B. Iwerks was his artist. You have no clue what I'm talking about. Steve Jobs is the brain that created the idea. Who was the actual guy behind the scenes making it possible for Steve Jobs' vision to happen?
I literally have zero idea.
Did anyone know?
I don't know.
Steve Wozniak.
No idea.
Maybe you're gonna go with Steve Irwin, but
Steve Irwin. Yeah.
Oh, Steve Irwin.
That's
Oh,
the
Steve
only
Irwin.
name I
The
know.
crocodiles.
So none of that has anything to do. So today we have it's just gonna be me and Michelle. Of course, Range and Jess are behind the camera, but they can chime in too. So today we're just gonna kind of look at our lives together as we've been married 20 years, and just kind of I've got some questions for us, and we're just gonna share our opinion on some of these questions, and we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
There's some people that might get if they watch.
Who, me?
Not you, but
Oh.
and even if you get offended by the answers we give, please like and subscribe before you get offended. So I'll just jump right in let's start by kind of talking about our journey together. How much of that could you share? Because I'm learning right now that you
Okay.
don't remember us well.
Okay, here's the thing. Timelines get a little sketchy for me. Like, I remember that things happened, but if you're asking me to put them, like, in chronological order, that's where things get a little muddy. And, y'all, we're talking about 20 years.
But we go way further back because we grew up together. I think I met
Dated
you.
for a couple of years before that.
Yeah, but I met you. You were in the 7th grade. You were dating Brian McKnight, not the singer. That'd been really cool if you were. At a lock-in. You didn't go to. You don't remember any of this, do you?
Mm-hmm. No, I do.
We were bowling. You're looking.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking. I do remember us bowling
The-
at Hardy Court.
yes. Yep. We.
See?
Walk-in was at the bowling alley?
That's where I got a little fuzzy
Yeah.
on the details.
We went to the youth group went to the bowling alley, and then we left the bowling alley and went back to the church to finish the night. And I don't think you went back. I think you just went bowling with us.
I was gonna say I don't remember going back to the church.
But then the first time we really interacted was at the youth rally.
Okay, see, that's what I had in my head first. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I didn't know that was a lock-in, but okay.
Then we went to a youth
It was
rally
a
at
church thing.
Michael Memorial Baptist
Yeah,
Church,
that I remember.
and she was looking. She had on them Tommy Hilfiger overalls with one strap down. Let me just tell y'all,
I don't ever remember wearing
kicking it.
overalls like
Kicking
that.
the one strap down is where it's at. Like she
Range
had.
thinks that's absolutely ridiculous.
Hey, whatever. If you're gonna wear overalls,
I
whatever.
mean, he also thinks it's ridiculous to wear a V-neck or a shirt that doesn't have a collar. So, what's your point?
This is true.
So then you moved over to our church shortly after that. We really weren't friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just being like,
No, you're correct. We were not friends.
No.
No.
You were bougie,
Sure.
and I was probably boozy.
Yeah. We were not the same kind of people.
No.
Well, but like I was friends with a lot of like your friends.
Right.
But for whatever reason, you were rude to me. And
I was rude to everyone.
okay. Not an excuse. And so I was like, oh well, he thinks he's better than me, so we don't have to be friends. And I was totally fine with that.
Well, I'm not saying I was better than you, but I mean, I was older, and
Your friends were older than you too, and they were still nice to me.
I don't have an excuse for that.
Moving right along.
Moving along. Graduating, we started dating.
You graduated, yes.
I graduated. You had not graduated yet.
Correct.
We started dating. Dated, like you said, for like 3 years, roughly. More than 2. I don't remember exactly how long. Engaged, very young. You were 18. I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
You were not pregnant,
Was not pregnant.
even though everybody thought you were, because why in the world would we be getting married that young?
It's a valid question.
It's a valid question. And then we've been married ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So let's.
Not always happily, but married nonetheless.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
I
I
We're
would
gonna cut right there.
yeah, I would agree. It's not always been a bed of roses. So let's jump right into questions that we thought would be good questions. So the first question is, what has been the hardest part of having a marriage tied to ministry?
mean, oh wow.
I'm going first, or you go first?
Oh, you probably should go first because I'm gonna need time to filter.
Okay. Okay.
She's honest.
I think for me, the hardest part is one, I would say, is finding the balance
That's
of
good.
serving the church and serving my family well.
Mhm.
Because there's certain things that are called upon as a pastor minister that aren't particularly serving the church, and this is something that I've like really been working on in my own life. Am I serving you, or you've turned me into your slave? And so there's early on, because of the way we grew up, the idea was you just work and work your way up, and you just do whatever anybody needs. We're not in that per se season anymore. So I think that would be the first thing I would say. I think the second thing is that your relationship is always on display, even in unfair ways. Like we're not, like even if I feel like if we argue but make up and it was done well, like it's like we should never argue. If that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know what you would want to add. Feel free to add to this.
No, I think that those are good. I was going to say, just from a wife's perspective, it's really hard sometimes, especially early on in ministry. Like you said, we were married really young, so I was immature just as a person in general,
Right.
just because I was 18. And so not only were we married really young, but we were in ministry really young.
And we need to point this out. You're the reason that I ever went in. I mean, yes, God.
That
But
sounded
I
terrible.
meant like,
The wording sounded really bad.
yes, it's clear. God called me,
Yeah,
but I would say the confirmation of it came through
for
you.
sure. Like I knew that this is what God had called you to do.
Because I did not want to do this.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say just because of the age and the immaturity that was already there, I would say the hardest part, especially in the very beginning, was people. And you can't do ministry without being around people, but because, you know, your emotions are literally attached to not only your job, but they're attached to this other person, to your husband, but then they're attached to your spirituality, right? And your relationship with Jesus, even though it shouldn't be that way, like it just is. The people that serve alongside you, the people that are discipling you, the people that are feeding into you. And then whenever they either take it, in my perspective, were taking advantage or would say things that I thought were unfair or uncalled for, like those things are really hard to protect your heart against them and to separate.
No, and I think that's fair because there could definitely be times where I'm in meetings and getting to voice my opinion, then I come home and tell you what happened, and you just have to put on a smiley face and act like
Yeah.
you didn't even know it happened.
Yeah.
And
So those are separating and knowing, I think just all of it, like having to, I feel like people are way more involved and your emotions are way more involved in every single aspect whenever you're in ministry. And so that was really hard for me early on. It took me a really long time to, I think, get better at like being able to separate the two and look and be like, you're just a person and you're going to mess up, and I'm a person and I'm going to mess up and I'm going to fail you too. And that's okay. Like, it happens, you know, and not let my emotions become too entangled in the hurt.
That's good. You filtered well quick. So, ready for another one?
Sure.
What area have we had to work on most for our marriage to bring God glory? Or glory to God, however you want to word it.
What area have we had to work on the most in order for it to bring God glory? I really should have thought about these before. I'm going to say my selfishness. Is this what you're looking for? Hopefully this is going to answer your question. Okay, because I think that...
I don't know that I'm looking for
any answer. Just realizing that because we are in ministry, like, it's not about me. There's been not even outside of ministry, just in a marriage relationship period, but realizing that just being able to separate what the world tells you a marriage should look like and what biblical marriage should look like. And so having to filter through those things. And so working through that selfishness, like, okay, I saw this movie and this husband on this movie made everything stop for his wife. Well, that's not reality. And so, like, whenever I didn't feel like you were serving me in that way, then getting upset, like, what did I sign up for? Especially early on. And so, but that same thought process trickled into years of marriage. So, like, then maybe I wasn't expecting you to, to be this fairy tale on TV, but I was expecting you to help me around the house, or I was expecting you to do something specific. And if it didn't get done, then being upset because my need wasn't met, instead of flipping that and turning it around and being like, how can I serve my husband? And not how should my husband serve me, but what can I do in order to serve my husband better? So that way his needs are met, and in turn, just because of the way things work, my needs will be met.
No, that's good. I mean, I don't know.
I know that was a roundabout way.
No, like, I initially would have said pride, but I don't know that maybe selfish throw. The reason I say that is because I think that we both went in with expectations, unhealthy expectations, and selfishness revealed that. You had set expectations to prove people wrong.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't, but I think we were young. Communication sucked.
Terrible.
Like, I really believe if there's kids watching here, like, we either were fighting or having sex the first 2 years, which is not a great combination in any way, shape, or form. And we could not. And the thing is, I don't think it was communication, like we couldn't hear each other. The communication is we refused to listen.
Yeah.
Like, we were both doing a lot of talking. No one had a problem. Yeah, like, words were like, you didn't.
Words were exchanged.
It wasn't. We never left the room not wondering what the other person wanted. The problem was all that mattered was you hearing what I want. And so I think even what you said, like, you want me to help with chores around the house. With my head, I'm like, if I help with chores around the house, that means I should get rewarded for helping. And your mindset is, no, this is just what you're supposed to do. And like, it would. I mean, and at that time in your life, there was huge daddy issues. And of course, I'm a young man wanting you to focus solely on me. And so that caused issues. And then we'll get to this in a minute. My family started falling apart, which it's completely different than it was with your family because you grew up in it. And then it just led us to a lot of things. And then you got the church telling us who we need to be and what we need to be and
how to raise our kids.
And I think things changed for us when we decided the goal is to sacrifice for each other.
Yeah.
And we're going to do what we think's best, whether everybody else agrees with us or not. And clearly, whether that's our marriage or parenting or any of it. And I think there's some areas it's been really good. In some areas we probably could have done better. Not probably, we could have done better.
Yeah.
But I just think that for me, I would say, I like the idea of the overarching selfishness. I think the American mindset of treat them like a queen, they'll make you a king. Is it just it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's a really, really good answer. So, here's another fun one for us. In what ways has divorce affected our marriage?
Wow.
And just a disclaimer, you were...
I was in 9th grade when my parents separated.
Yes, and I was...
35. I don't know the exact age. 34.
Yeah, I was in my
Pretty
30s.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah, mid-30s when my parents separated. But we would both agree it neither... Maybe the shocking that it actually happened was a shock, but looking at it, no one should be shocked
Yeah.
in either situation.
Well, I think I was too young, really, for the reasons I shouldn't have been shocked. I was too young to identify those. Obviously, like the fighting and that kind of stuff, I wasn't too young to identify. Like like when your dad tells you things. Should I say this? Maybe that's too open.
Go for it, babe.
But like, when your dad tells you, like, if you don't do X, Y, Z, or if you continue doing X, Y, Z, I'll go find another family. So like, it shouldn't.
I mean, he's not going to watch, so
It shouldn't be. I know, but Marilyn might watch. Just like so, like, and my dad is not the same person. Just a disclaimer.
He's
that.
given his life to Christ.
Yeah.
All
Growing up, though, it was.
We're talking about things that, well, not all of them. Well, most of it we have reconciled.
Yes, these things definitely have been reconciled. But yeah, so like growing up, it should not have been this startling thing for me. But it was. Like, it wasn't like my parents had this whole happy facade. Like, there was, it was none of that. So it shouldn't have been a shocker for me. What was the question? How did it affect our marriage?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just focusing on the.
Well, but I mean, I think, like, so for example, you and your dad really started trying to reconcile, or for that, you were trying to reconcile about the time me and you started dating.
Yes.
Because we got married.
We're gonna call that reconcile.
I said, well, you were determined to make it work. How about that?
I was determined to have a relationship with my father.
Yeah, you wanted to be with your dad.
I needed that affirmation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they got married the same year as us, year before us?
A couple years after us.
After us. So, basically, our relationship, beginning of our marriage, was walking into what you didn't want. Like, because at that point, you were still keep hope alive.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and dad are going to get back together, which was...
asinine.
Yeah, just ridiculous. So, the first, I think we can agree, maybe not half of our marriage, but pretty close.
First 5 at least years.
Yeah, it was hanging on your dad's every word.
Yes. Yeah. Severe daddy issues. But on top of that, even though I wasn't necessarily working through those issues well, I had a desire to work through them.
Right.
But I also was determined that, this is not how our marriage is going to play out. Like,
right. So when you'd have a bad day with your dad, I got to read full.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to mine in a minute, so I might act like I was just a.
Yeah. And I didn't take it that way. But but even just in the, we joked about like that I wasn't pregnant. We were very determined. Like, even though we, were adamant that divorce is off the table, it was still because those first years were so rocky. We were like, okay, well, we are not having children until this has calmed down. Like, this is a little more stable, because I did not want to bring a child into the world or
Yeah, the
whatever
only-
that looked like, into this relationship if I wasn't certain.
Yeah, because it really all we had at that time was fighting in an avocado tub.
Yep.
That was about it.
Hey, American Choppers DVDs.
Yes, we had
Friends.
American. That's probably. I look back. That might have been the source because they fought a lot on American Choppers. Maybe it was just building our. We literally either watched.
Building that frustration.
We'd watch Friends and American Choppers.
Yeah.
And then we had our avocado
Our
tub.
TV was sitting on top of cinder blocks.
TV sitting on cinder blocks. We were making it happen. Eating hamburger helper. I
remember to turn the oven on.
When you did remember to turn the oven on. So yeah, I mean, and even in the middle of all that, your mom gets remarried, which was tough because,
it's tough.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't what you wanted. Like you didn't realize how to process that because it had just been you and your mom. A lot of great not choices made on everybody's part. So we got to walk through.
Yeah.
And I think so. And this is what's very interesting. And we'll get to my side of it in a minute. I think there's a reason the Bible says God hates divorce. I don't think it's that God can't reconcile people that get divorced. I think God hates divorce because he knows the wake of people.
And that's the thing, like God is a healer, right? Like he is the one that reconciles us to him and to other people. So like he absolutely can heal us from that. However, like you said, the amount of people though that have to walk through and live through those repercussions.
Right.
It's a lot. Like it's a widespread, even
in
our kids.
Even in a quote
That's
unquote
what I'm
healthy
saying.
divorce,
Yeah.
like you're still at some point there's a choice that has to be made. Christmas, whatever. Like there's choices that have to be made and someone gets hurt.
Yep.
Like
so I'm gonna throw a kink in the script real quick.
you're gonna talk about divorce?
No.
Oh.
I almost spit my drink out.
So both of you have siblings, and both of the separations happened at different times in your lives. So, Michelle, how did it affect you and Chase? You know, short term and long term.
Yeah.
And then Dale, same.
So I'll go first.
I think that might be the best thing that happened for y'all.
Yeah, Chase and I, my little brother, he's 3 years younger than me, and whenever my
You also have a sister, but
I do have a
She never
sister
grew
from
up
my
with
dad's side. Yeah, she lived with her mom, and so my brother and I became a lot closer. My mom worked a lot,
Right away.
being a single mom. Yeah, she worked a lot of night shifts and
2 jobs.
Yeah, she worked
When
multiple jobs.
When I met like Michelle, she would usually work at some retail, like I think antique store, different things during the day, or selling something mangosteen or
Yeah, she was
sold
always,
this stuff called Veganaise. which
she
is
never
supposed to-
sold vegetables.
Yeah, she did.
She did.
Oh, she bought it?
Yeah,
She sold mangosteen.
that is
And
accurate.
if Cindy watches this, I'm just telling you that when your sales tactic is it tastes better cold.
But yeah, so my mom has always had multiple
She's a hustler.
jobs.
Like
She
I've
is.
never met
She's a
someone that
hardworking
will
person for sure.
work as hard as Cindy does. But she worked nights at the casino.
And then she worked nights at the casino, so she typically only slept a couple hours a night, but she wouldn't get home until late. So it was Chase and I fending for ourselves for dinner, going to bed. She was always there getting us up in the morning, you know, but she's completely exhausted. So Chase and I would say pretty much instantly, as much as 2 teenage kids can get
Right.
along. But ever since then, like, there's been some breaks in that, but I think because of that though, like we've always been bonded. Like even when we were having issues or on the outs or whatever, like Chase and I are
like it
super
was
close.
the security thing.
Yeah. Like I've been through what you went through, you've been through what I've went through.
Well, and y'all
Like, we're in
basically
this together.
became latchkey kids, even though y'all weren't as young. Well, Chase was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And because you were a teenager, he got tagged along to all of our fun. So he just kind of grew up with us.
Mhm.
I apologize. He watches Chase.
We love you.
I apologize for everything I did to you during those years. It's a lot. You do not have to say in the comments what all of them were, but it was a lot. But yeah, I remember when I first started hanging out, Chase was in the 5th grade and smelled like
A 5th grade boy.
5th grade boy with cheese behind his ears, like, and he liked 2 sausage pancake corn dogs as pregame meals before we go to dinner.
Yep.
He's probably like, I cannot believe you're saying this right now. So mine's very different. So like I said, I was mid 30s. So my sister was late 20s, early 30s. And honestly, we didn't get closer. I think the roles are just different where I was already in the role of protector of this family. It had been for years. And I look at it now, I wonder if possibly that's why we're not as close as brother and sister, because I've always just kind of ran things. And I'm not even judging her. She took on the role. My dad is someone that buys off apologies. And my sister took full advantage of that. And people go, well, that's horrible. Hurt people hurt people. Like, and my thought was, she's hurting, and if he's willing to buy X, Y, and Z, she's gonna reap the benefits of it. And so she definitely struggled, and I think that's a natural thing for a girl to want their dad. Where I was disgusted by the situation, she gave him every reason and every excuse to fix the situation. So it kind of drew somewhat of a wedge between us for a while. And I'm not going to say it didn't make us closer, because I think in some ways it did later on. I think as she got older and realized the totality of everything that was going on and how much I was dealing with, it made her appreciate more my view on some things. But I also would say, not that when her parents got divorced, that it didn't inflict pain on y'all, but it wasn't directed at y'all. I feel like when my parents got divorced, the choices my dad was making directly hurt us. Like, not that separation doesn't hurt, like it's a selfish move and it does hurt people, but it was different. And we were older. So like maybe we just didn't like, and I already had a wife and kids and was trying to figure that out. And so, yeah, I mean, so even in that with siblings, like the divorce affected our family differently because, and my mom lives with us, and I wouldn't change it for the world. She knows that we would have her. We will have her as long as she wants to be here. And my kids love it that way, and it's just the way it is. They love it until she gets on them about cleaning the bathroom. They don't love that part. But she's been with us for a long, long time. And I definitely think it has allowed me and my mom to be closer, because growing up, it was me and my dad and everything. We did everything together. It was sports driven. And so it just kind of changed the roles. But I can promise you, whether you're in 9th grade or you're 35, 36 years old, it still hits.
Yep. Sure does.
I really thought I was going to do good.
Sorry,
Well, we just talked about when you talk
No.
about those ripple effects. I mean,
Yeah.
even
My
like
voice
our
went pretty
kids,
Yeah.
like our kids deal with it. And
Yes, and I think that's the hardest part for me is the effect it's had on our children. And I think being older, where I think parents, when you're younger, try to hide the pain. When you're older, they don't do that as much because you're adults. So you get to see.
Yeah, the part of that, like with mine, my mom never said anything bad about my dad.
In fact, I divulged
A lot of the information.
that she didn't even know. You didn't know how many times your dad been married.
Yeah, and so but as a kid, my mom's like, she took the stance of, I'm not going to talk bad about your dad,
Which is awesome.
which, you'll figure it out, or when you get older, you'll be able to see things through a different perspective, different lens, because I still am a daddy's girl. Don't hear me say that I'm not. I still am a daddy's girl, very much so. But in that time,
Right.
when my dad left, I was like, I'm out. I'm going where he's going. And so, I think she did a really good job of just being like, If that's what you want, that's fine. If you want to see your dad in this light, that's fine. Not that my mom was innocent and my dad was bad. That's not what I'm saying either. But she did a really good job.
She definitely did not ever try to tear your dad down.
Ever.
Yeah.
But with you, your mom didn't have to say anything.
No, I'm right.
Or your dad didn't have to say anything about your mom or whatever.
Like I was
you're living it.
In fact, not only was I in the middle of it, there was a lot of things that I was finding out before she was even finding out, and so it was just.
It's just different.
It's just different. But it definitely has affected our marriage, I would say. Because you even said you were dating earlier. In the first few years of our marriage, I think that was a huge...
Well, I think that part of the reason like we got married so young, at least for me, was like, I was like, okay, my dad doesn't, in my head, I say these things like this is how, I'm not speaking for him. But in my head, I was like, okay, my dad doesn't want me. That's fine. I'll find somebody that does. Okay, perfect. I found somebody that does. He checks off my little Christian boxes. This is going to...
real loosely Christian boxes at that time, too.
I mean, I said checked off the boxes. I didn't say you were winning gold stars in these boxes. But, so in my head, I'm like, I'll just swap out. Like, my dad won't give me the love and the attention and the affirmation that I need. Okay, here's somebody that will. And real quickly, we realized that's not how this works.
Right.
Like, you could have been the greatest husband that ever walked the planet at that time, and it still would not have fixed the issues and the holes and the things that I had going on in my life.
Well, and even if I would have done it all right,
that's what I'm saying.
You still wanted his affirmation, which caused tons of arguments.
Right.
And, I mean, it just affects everything. And it's definitely, I think in some ways, just over here crying, I can't even look at her.
Didn't look over there. They can start drawing attention.
But I also say in some ways it has drawn us closer. One, because you walked through it a lot of years before I did. My role in ministry and who I have been in life is get on my back, I'll walk. And it was the first time that like I had to let you help me.
Gosh, this movie took a turn.
Yeah, we are out here today. Let's do another get to know range.
Fun facts with range.
Fun fact with range.
Guess what else range doesn't know?
Doesn't do well. No, but I mean, I think for me, it was a changing point where.
Well, and I think also because you never understood the hope that I always carried.
I thought it was absolutely ridiculous because I'm. They're arguing. It's so funny. Like my AD. No, I agree with you. I am a linear. I am a linear thinker. 1 + 2 needs to equal 3, and so like the way you looked at it did not make logical sense. So it was ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
And I want to say that I'm better at that as I've gotten older, but I'm a realist, like in every aspect of the word.
But then whenever you had to apply it to your situation, you're like, oh, okay, I get why you hold out this hope. Or
no, because I mean, I can remember the things that my dad chose and did were horrible, and my mom waited till she had mine and my sister's full support, and which mine came quicker than my sister's, and I just told her like, I don't expect you to stay with him. And even when she made the decision, like it was like, wow, like this is for real. And the crazy part is not that I even want the amount of miracle that have to change for it to be what I want it to be. Is I don't want to say it, at this moment it's unreachable with where people are. But yeah, there's still like a little kid in you that goes, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And that's, now I just want my mom to marry someone extremely rich that has
always pay for
has no siblings,
no one to inherit.
And if he was already terminal, like I'm okay with it. Like,
as long as he knows Jesus.
Like, yes, know Jesus, absolutely. But take one for the team. Like, I mean, if we're gonna,
I'm saying the same thing for my mom.
I am on board. So, Well, that was a wonderful question.
This episode turned into not get to know Dale and Michelle. Let's talk about divorce.
Yeah. Clearly, we have another one coming up on that one. I was just thinking Jeff arrangement. I'm not gonna.
Not the episode.
Next question. Next question is: in what ways have we chosen to parent different than the way we were raised? They got easier. Didn't that feel easier?
Well, I know your mom watches.
I prefaced my mom that we were going to go here.
Yeah, you did, and she said, "You're fine. Say whatever you need to say."
That's what they always say too until you say
until you say it. No. So I think that. So the question. I just want to make sure the question. So the question is how we're parenting different than the way that we were parented.
Yes. So for not even completely saying that we think their way was
right.
I guess that's what I'm. It's wrong if we're doing it different.
But that's what I'm saying. Like for mine, because like we already talked about, like my mom worked a ton.
So can we say this though? Can we say this
like,
in fairness?
She wasn't around a lot. How many nights were you at the house and your friends at the house?
We ain't talking
That's
about
what I'm saying. Like she wasn't there a lot. So there was lots of things happening.
I was there though, I can tell you that. Take that how you want. We were doing Bible study. Bible study.
Josh McDowell.
Doing Song of Solomon.
We were doing things we should not have been doing.
So, but wouldn't you say, I hope that our children see things that we couldn't see and do it different than us too?
Oh, 1,000%. Like
I don't want to sit here and act like we figured it out.
Heck no.
Like I literally had to apologize to my kid last night.
Yeah.
So
no, for sure. Like I would say though that right there is a huge one. I don't remember. My dad has apologized to me a handful of times in my life.
But all later in life.
All later in life. Like, as me that I'm an adult. My mom apologizing to me. Never. I'm not saying she's never felt like remorse or tried to make things up to me or whatever. And in her ways trying to do that. But, which is fine. Like but I think that that's a big one. Like maybe it's just because of the way that, no, I think it's all of us. Never mind. So I think that's a big one. I want my kids to know that.
You had a conversation. I don't know what you did. You said.
I know. I just skip over that, edit that part out. No, I was going to say something else. I was saying maybe it was because of the way that I was raised, but then I said, no, like it's all of us. We all need to see what it looks like, have that posture modeled to us. I think like we don't know how to apologize and how to reconcile with people if it's not modeled for us. And so even now, and I have said it and I will continue to say, saying I'm sorry tastes like vinegar in my mouth. Like there's literally not any other words on this planet that I hate uttering more than I'm sorry, especially when it's in like a sincere, I messed that up, I'm so sorry. Like that does not come easy to me at all. And I think part of it was never modeled for me. And so I do try though with my kids. I've had to do it with both of our oldest multiple times this is like in recent memory.
Yeah.
Where I've had to say, I'm sorry, this was not okay. Because I don't want them to ever think that I think that I'm perfect, or that just because I'm the adult that I'm the one that's getting it right, and that whether you like it or not, you're going to obey me, which they need to obey me and they need to respect me. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to get it right every time. And that when I get it wrong, it doesn't matter because I'm the adult.
Right.
Like if I mess it up, oh well, you're going to be an adult one day and then you'll be in my shoes. And like, that's not the model I want to set for my kids. So I would say the apologizing is one of them.
I would agree. I mean, I don't even just say for our families. I would say it's not the norm. Like, and one, I think it's because maybe all cultures this way, but I know America's this way. We are really bad at it. Like, just so we're clear, if anything follows the apology,
yeah, that's even worse. If I have to say I'm sorry and then stop talking and not at least explain to you like what prompted my reaction or what prompted me to handle something a certain way that I'm having to apologize for, like that's even worse.
Yeah.
Like
I need so this is something I guess for me like that I really worked on in my own life is being able to apologize and just leave it at the apology. Because if you follow it with a but or a disclaimer, then you're still justifying your actions. Like that's not needed. Even if you feel like you weren't completely right or wrong, it's okay to apologize. Even if you feel like you're right, it's okay to apologize. And so I definitely don't think it was something typically modeled in my family. My family was more of we just brush under the rug and act like it never happened. And if everybody starts being nice to each other again,
that's fine.
We're good. That's the way we apologize. We just start having conversations like nothing ever happened, and which is so unhealthy. I can remember. It's so funny. I can remember one time in my life that my dad called me from a conference and apologized for just the pressure he puts on me to be who I was. But I also remember at that point in my life, I couldn't hear it. I couldn't because I felt like we were in a way past that, and I was kind of like, well, we'll just see. And really things didn't change. And yeah, so I would say that for sure. I think another one for me is not finding our identity in our children. I don't know if that was something in your home. In my home, my
low expectations.
Yeah, I know for me, my I loved playing sports, but it was not an option to play or not, and not just play, but be really good at them, and it trickled over into because my dad was in ministry, that I was expected to just always. I basically felt like a show dog, like just be on show, be that person in every aspect of my life. If kids were going to be on the platform at church reciting, I knew I was going to have to be one of them. Even if it was a creative movement dance and it's all girls, but there's one dude, I'm going to be the one dude up there. So it's just always we don't have to do the movement. Carry this candle.
That's not the one I was singing. I was go and sin no more.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really not good. So, I mean, I just feel like an area of my life, especially with my two older ones, I've tried to meet them with who they are and love them there.
That's what I was going to add was really hard for me because even though like I came from, this semi-dysfunctional family, like divorced home or whatever, but still being like raised in church, being taught about Jesus, all of that was still really important to my mom. And so we would do certain things every day, right? Like we would always read our devotion at night. Like we always prayed.
Same devotion.
Yes, that was neither here nor there. But yes, but like those were things that you did. And so whenever we had kids and you coming from a completely different perspective and a different world, like us having to have those conversations of, okay, what are non-negotiables and what are things that they're going to have to figure out on their own? Like we offer it to them, but we don't force them to do it. Kurt actually put out, I think it was Kurt, one of his kids just accepted Jesus the other day, and he talked about in his Facebook post about that so many times he wanted to take control and he wanted to, do all these things to make sure that he was seeing Jesus and that he was reading about Jesus. But he was reminded that Jesus, like, if you will let me do this, if you will loosen those reins, I will draw him to me. And I feel like that was hard for me to do, especially being in ministry where I felt like my kids needed to know all 66 books of the Bible. Like they needed to know exactly where they were in scripture. They needed to have this many scriptures memorized, like all of these things. And then you reminded me that like these are just boxes that we have created in American culture that check off boxes that don't actually equal heart change, don't actually equal a relationship with Jesus. And so like while we do have non-negotiables in our house, like
you're going to church.
Yes, absolutely.
Just like you're going to school. I mean, you're going to do school now. But No, like there's certain things that are non-negotiables. But that's it. Like if you come stay in our home for the weekend
Yeah.
on Sunday, no one's not going to church on Sunday. We're all getting up and we're all going because that's what our home does.
Yeah.
Just like if you stay in our home and you're a crack addict, you're not getting to do crack in my house.
Yeah.
Like I'm not judging you on your life. I know that went to one extreme to the other.
A little bit.
But you know, but I would say that's a big difference is we have met our kids with who they are and loved them there. Even like you talked about the pressure, like I heard multiple people go, you know, is Ethan going to be third generation pastor? And I tell them all the time, like I don't wish that on you. Like if that's what God wants and you want that, cool.
It's not an expectation.
Truly, like at all. Charlie has shown more interest in that, but I've even told her, like, if that's not where you go, I'm good with it. Like I am perfectly fine. You're going to I hope you serve the Lord, whether it's vocationally or lay person, it's fine.
Yeah.
Cool. So, so we'll end with this. What is our biblical approach to a godly marriage? If you could just give one nugget of wisdom.
It's more important that I help you become holy than make sure you're happy.
That was a good one. I would add to that, if we're not sacrificing for each other, then we're being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
It's one or the other. It's never anything in between. So what is more loving in God's eyes? So
yeah,
awesome. So good episode. Tears, smiles, song, and dance. We had it all in one.
We did.
We had it all in one. Hopefully
And laughs.
hopefully our mothers don't call and ground us.
I think my dad is I don't know if your dad's gonna watch.
Nope.
We love you.
That's why I said mothers.
I know, but I was saying Marilyn might watch.
Yeah. Well, she didn't get around us. So not that anybody gets to
I was saying,
go.
not that our mothers do
So
either.
thank you for being on this episode, and we will catch up with y'all next week. Playing the best classic hits. You can download Houston Radio Platinum app. It's in the App Store, or just ask Alexa to play Houston Radio Platinum.